Hello, I'm Paul.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome to the Filmbusters podcast. The film show with no filters, no prisoners taken, loads of disagreements, but one hell of a love for cinema.
If you want to hear three friends ridiculing each other for an hour or so regarding their taste in films, then you have come to the right place.
In each episode, one of the team picks a film for us to discuss. It could be anything from a recent cinema release to an all-time classic.
So, strap in and get ready to get mad or get vindicated as we guide you through the murky world of being a film geek.
If you like what you hear, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram using @FilmbustersPod. You can also find each of our individual accounts. I'm at Filmbusters Paul.
I'm at Filmbusters Adam.
And I'm at Filmbusters Ben.
If you want to use your eyes instead of your ears, you can also visit the website at filmbusterspod.co.uk.
And if busting makes you feel good, you can also support us at patreon.com/filmbusters for exclusive content.
Or shoot over and get some groovy merchandise at society6.com/filmbusters.
Alright, can we just get on with this now, please?
Filmbusters.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Filmbusters. This week we are talking about Iron Man. Please do not switch off, because this is not Iron Man.
I am Iron Man.
Yes, this is
the Iron
Ben
Man
version of Iron Man.
The only Iron Man I'll accept.
Yeah, we're actually talking about the Black Sabbath song Iron Man, this whole episode.
Yeah, that's all we're doing. We're doing a music episode.
Someone suggested an album. One of our patrons could pick if they wanted us to. We're open to talk about anything. We could talk about global warming if you wanted to. If you pay us enough money, we'll talk about anything.
That is true. You could just say anything, right? What if one of our patrons said that?
Maybe this is what Julio will do with his pick in the next week or two. He might just go off and he'll talk about, I don't know, the Gulf of Mexico or something like that.
It's a weird topic. People are weird because we're in a weird film this week.
We've also done a weird setup this week. We recorded our Patreon episode before, and we recorded it 2 hours ago as well.
It's true. Everything was like thrown totally out of whack this week. We've never done that. We've never recorded, broke, and
it's like
carried
those
on
football
recording.
teams, and they turn out to play the game, but it gets cancelled by an hour, and they all have to hang around in the changing rooms and try and keep warmed up and ready.
I hate that reference.
It's exactly like that. Yes. Paul hates
everything. He's miserable today.
Well, the reason that this is a peculiar episode is because this is a peculiar film. The time is fucked with this one because I watched this film a couple of months ago and decided to sit on it because I wanted to bring it up as a topic for us to discuss.
Did you rewatch?
Yeah, I did. Okay. I did rewatch. But
I was about to say, yeah, you should.
I kind of had to keep quiet about it until
very hush.
Now.
Hush.
It's an unusual film for us, Tetsuo the Iron Man, not least because of like the style of it, but just like the time. It's 80s, it's foreign, and it's very surreal.
We've done stuff like that before.
Have we done? Well, let's do 50s foreign. Let's see if we can do a 50s foreign one. So this week is a me pick. Tetsuo the Iron Man is a me pick. But last week, one of our patrons picked the film. And on our next episode, one of our patrons picked the film. So we had Katie and Oti last week. We got Julio next week. And if you want to join them as a patron of Filmbusters, we would love to have you. Of course, we want you. So come on over. Whatever you can spare is fine. And just get a little bit extra of us three lovable rogues who do this nonsense. All we're doing is silly nonsense.
It's very nonsense.
It's the same as this, but just longer.
When we started doing this 3 years ago, I thought, we'd be very highbrow, but now I know we just descended into silly nonsense. We can be highbrow.
It's more natural. It's very unnatural for us to be highbrow.
This is us.
It's very unnatural for you to be highbrow. So.
Well, any of us. It's like the other week when we tried not to swear and it lasted about 2 minutes. It's just not natural.
I'm very highbrow. It's you two.
You like to think you're highbrow when you're not.
We drag
highbrow.
him down.
Yes. And I try and bring you up. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is, if you want to join and listen to more of our stuff, you can head on over to Patreon. Just Google it, I guess. I don't know the link, but you don't need the link. You're not going to type in the link. Just type in
Go onto the
Patreon
website and type in Filmbusters, Crossing the Streams.
But if you do want a link, it's www.patreon.com/filmbusters.
Is it not Filmbusters Crossing the Streams?
No, that's
the name of the patron.
Oh, I thought that was on the name of the full thing. That's why I always say it.
Very long link.
Yeah, but you should never cross the streams.
But yeah, we got some cool patrons over there. You could join the community. You get to chip in with a few films you've been watching. You get to suggest episodes. You get some bonus episodes, some video content, t-shirts, stickers, plenty of good stuff. So come on, cough up a buck and
you can join alongside people like Jamie Russell.
Julio from the Contrarians.
Nerd Revert.
And Katie and Oti.
From For Your Reference.
Yes.
Very
They're
nice.
more than just from For Your Reference to us.
I know, but you just got to give context.
You've got
Bit
to
of
plug their
context.
podcast as well.
Plug in the
Yes,
podcast.
exactly. There's nothing wrong with that. And this week on our Patreon channel, we are doing Katie's subject, which is films that are just a step away, a little push away from our reality.
Like Black Mirror.
Yes, like Black Mirror.
Black Mirror-esque films. But Black
Yeah.
Mirror, we established that Black Mirror does it best at looking at dystopian versions of our future. But there are
yes.
some films out there that do it quite well.
And we will let you know what they are.
Yes.
Yes. Lobster was not one of them, if you listen to our last week episode.
See, the
No
thing
good.
is, I was contemplating Lobster because it is a very good take on the step of reality. Like, it is that close to reality. It's just we did it last week, so I thought people want something new to listen to.
Yeah.
But then the whole world would have to lose their own personalities
Yes, they would.
as well.
They would. I'm very excited to talk about this film with you two, because without giving away my review at all, we've never really covered a films such as this, so
Yeah.
I'm
No,
very
indeed.
interested genuinely to hear what you two have got to say about this.
And no one's ever hyped a
Indeed.
film up like this before.
But don't get it twisted. Don't think that I'm hyping this. And
I know, but I mean,
I
like,
necessarily love it.
The whole
That's not
weight of,
necessarily
like,
what this
we
is
waited
about.
weeks to find out what it was and everything like that.
Yeah, probably a bit
It could be like the One
anticlimactic for you.
Division finale. You have people waiting for weeks.
It's
and it's
nothing
just
like the One Division finale. I can guarantee you that, boy.
See, this is Adam, he's the one who always brings this stuff up. It's never me.
I know he's a real mainstream whore. He is.
It wasn't a necessarily positive point.
Why do you watch all of these things that you claim not to like? Why did you watch all of One Division?
Because all my housemates watch it, and it
when
was
they watch
entertaining.
it, go to your room and read a book. Read Easy
It was
Riders Raging
entertaining
Bulls.
affair, but it was everything
It
you
wasn't.
expected it to be, and it ended the way
Foolish.
you expected it to end.
Scorsese would weep, mate. If
He
he
would
saw
weep.
you, he would turn his back and like bite his thumb at you. Romeo and Juliet.
I watch The Irishman on a watch.
He's trying to bring himself back now, but it's not working.
I know, awful man, awful. Now then,
Should we just go on to
come
the
on,
quiz, or
Paul.
I'll just obviously succeed?
he's
That's what's happening.
trying to get as far away from this conversation as possible now.
Well, I
He
just
regrets
thought we'd have
saying
it, but you two are just mean and you're very narrow-minded about the whole situation, so we'll just move on.
Yes, we can go to the quiz. If you don't know what the quiz is, I ask Adam and Ben 2 questions every week. If they get the answer right, they get a point. If they get it wrong, I get the point. Adam, you're on 11 points.
Double figures.
Ben, you're on 8 points.
Loser.
And me, I'm on 4 points.
Loser.
All the
so I can't even
questions-
catch him if I get them both today.
No, exactly.
Paul
All
can't
the
even catch you if he gets it right for the next month or so.
I wish you'd let the host
true.
speak and finish his rules.
But we've heard this enough times.
Listen,
There may be first-time listeners.
yes. All these questions about Tetsuo the Iron Man, so
Yeah.
you're very excited because you've clicked on this episode and you're like, oh, I love this film. And now I'm very excited that both these questions are about the film. Are you ready? Do you want me to ask the first question?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Complete this quote from the film.
Oh, fuck.
Together, we can turn this world to...
Metal.
Wrong.
Rust.
Yes, Ben!
Yes, I
well
thought so.
done.
It took me a second.
I never do well on the quotes.
Excellent quotes is my forte, but I still needed you to make a misstep first.
Just say metal. Say metal.
I instinctively I wanted to go with metal, but then I was like,
It's too
let Adam
obvious.
say that first. Yes.
Yes, yeah.
And Adam always picks the low hanging fruit, so let
Exactly.
him fall on his sword.
I fell
Well
off
done.
my ladder.
Good. My first point in a while.
9 points.
Great.
Straight to the next one.
Yeah.
Here we go. Within 10%, and whoever is closest, what audience score percentage does Tetsuo get on Rotten Tomatoes?
Ooh.
69.
I was going to go 76, but that's... Yeah, I would say 76.
Do you want to know the answer?
Yeah.
That's how quizzes
Well,
work.
we could both get points here, technically.
No, you can't, because I said whoever's closest.
Yeah, but
Well,
what about
we
if it's
might be
slap
right
bang
in the middle.
Or you could be exactly right, Adam.
Really?
Yes,
Is
it's
he?
76.
Far. I was going to say.
How the fuck's he done that?
See, this is the thing. I was going to say 75, but I was trying to push it a bit away from Ben, but I didn't want to go too
You're
far
so
away.
annoying, mate. Because the funny thing is, I was within 10 as well on that.
Yeah. I just complete guess as well. There's 100 numbers I could have picked from. But I
Yeah,
just
you
assumed it
are
was.
fluking
I don't know why I
everything.
assumed that people liked it.
Because you have been touched by an angel this year, mate. You're getting all these questions right.
It's all that bullshit from all the other years that you two are cheating me out of.
What film is that from where the character says, "My son, he's been touched by an angel"?
That's the Jimmy Savile documentary.
Yeah, sounds like it.
No, it's not that. I think it's Eastern Promise. Never mind. Well done, Adam, again.
And just so you know, the critics score is 79%.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, to be honest, mate, I mean, I don't know. I don't really go on Rotten Tomatoes, but my
I've never been
understanding.
on. I don't know how it works really. Is it like an IMDb score?
Yes, but it's
Okay.
just our percentage. So
But
it'd be like on IMDb, it'd be a 7.6 or a 7.9, I guess.
Okay.
The issue is that the audience score and the critic score are basically it makes no difference because a load of people that are certainly not professional critics, that are just people who like film like us, are considered critics on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Who's got to be verified.
Yeah, but there's some people I've seen who've been verified, and I'm sorry. You are an audience member, my friends.
You tell
And I'm
them.
not. I could say names because they don't listen to this podcast, I'm sure. But anyway, it's all love and it's all gravy.
Anyway, they're
course.
about to find out the only score that matters in town, and that is the Filmbuster score.
But first of all, let me just say it ends with Adam on 12 points, Ben on 9 points, and me on 4 points.
Oh, we almost had my birthday there.
Well, I'm glad it wasn't.
I know. I
Yeah,
shouldn't
don't
have got that
reveal your
last one
birthday,
right.
child. You're revealing your birthday.
He was
But no,
he
I
was
think it's on
born
my
on the
Twitter.
year 4.
Yeah. Actually, well, funny enough, yeah. I was.
Adam was having a good laugh at that.
I know, he loved it.
Yeah.
Right, shall we segue beautifully onto the actual film?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Right, everyone, today we are talking about Tetsuo, the Iron Man. This is Ben's pick. It is a spoiler episode. We'll go straight into spoilers, no hanging around. So if you haven't seen it, we will be spoiling it for you. So go watch it, come back, and we'll give you a beautiful episode. But first of all, Adam, you've got to do, somehow, a plot summary on this.
Okay. So first of all, this is nothing to do with Tony Stark's Iron Man. This is Tetsuo the Iron Man.
If you make one more reference to Marvel in this episode, I will beat the dog
It's
shit
so
out of you.
See?
But yeah, this is about a man who was just chilling out on a platform station, and then a woman turned up who had a
God,
metal
you've jumped
hand.
ahead.
And pardon?
Never mind, carry on.
Was it a man?
No, carry on.
You
You're
take
right.
whatever you think it is.
Yeah, and then he murders her, and then he slowly turns into metal because the person who owned the metal girl, didn't like that.
Are you done?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. That's
I mean,
quite-
you're very wrong. That's the most wrong you've ever been with
Really?
a plot description, I think. You jumped about 10 minutes in, which is fine.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
that's not
that's
what
when the-
happened. But,
plot kind of gets going.
well, we could
It gets
talk about
going, didn't it?
We could talk about it, eh? We could
Yeah,
talk
we'll
about this
talk
little
about.
thing.
I mean,
course we
to
can.
do a plot summary of this film is a challenge.
All right, so before we go to the reviews from everyone, so this was directed by a very young gentleman called Shinya Tsukamoto. Now, I've never seen anything of his before, but I do know that he's considered very, very influential and culty on the independent film stage. So this was inspired by two of my favourite filmmakers, David Lynch and David Cronenberg, the two Davids. So apparently he made this as a love letter to Videodrome and Eraserhead, which you can kind of see, I guess. And he kind of funded it off his own back with money that he had made, ironically, as a salaryman beforehand. And he was living at home with his parents when he decided to make this film. And his dad said to him, "There are two types of human beings, those who succeed and those who fail. You are a failure, so you shouldn't make this film." So he left his parents, and he decided that this was going to be his way of channeling how all those frustrations and all that expectation that was coming down upon his head into a response. Sorry, I didn't word that very well, but anyway.
Yeah, we get what you mean.
That's the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the budget for this film? If you got all that stats there.
It's very, very low budget. Very, like, all I know is it's incredibly low budget because he didn't fundraise from anywhere else. It was just his cash.
Okay.
20 quid.
Probably.
He used all the trash outside. Stuck it to
Yeah.
him.
Pretty much.
Well, I mean, that's it. Like, I know. So basically, okay. So let's have some more. While they were making the film, so it took 18 months to from beginning to end of the production.
It's quite a long
filmed
time,
it's quite a long time, but they filmed over 4 months. And while they were filming for those 4 months, they lived in what's her name? Apologies if I get the pronunciation wrong, but Kei Fujiwara, who plays Woman, she's just called Woman in the script. They lived in her house, and they filmed all the house scenes in her house as well, and all the cast lived in the house together, apart from the guy who played the salary man, if that's what you want to call him. Do you know the names that they've given to the people, like
no.
Salary Man and Metal Fetishist? So the main guy that you meet at the beginning is known as the Metal Fetishist, the guy who sticks the rod into his leg. Salary Man is the man who's going to work with the glasses and who takes over, and then Woman is the woman.
Okay.
Anyway, let's talk more about that afterwards. So,
Yeah.
let's. I don't know which order I'm going to do this. Let's go to you first, Paul.
Okay, I'll go first.
He's very yawny over there.
I know. Now I was stretching as you asked me, so there we go. I've stretched. Let me just finish stretching. Okay. Right. So you know me. I love a bit of extreme horror, especially ones with over the top practical effects. It's my bag. I enjoy it. And this certainly fell into that category. It was wacky, it was manic, it was insane, with an incredibly hypnotic industrial soundtrack, which was cool. But it was also a big mess with no conceivable plot. And considering I only worked out what the hell was going on once I read the IMDb plot description, that kind of speaks for itself. It was incredibly grating. And regardless of it being so short, I couldn't wait for it to end. Literally, just couldn't wait for it to end. I appreciate what it was going for, but considering like the quite ingenious design of the characters and the effects, I would kind of liked it to be in a more structured plot, and it was just all a little too much and over the top for me and quite annoying. But the one great thing that has come from this film is my notes for this episode, which I'm quite excited to tell you about. But anyway, for me, it is a 4 out of 10.
Ooh.
Yes.
Shit.
Fuck.
Is that the lowest you've ever given?
I don't know, it's quite low.
That's.
Oh, man.
I was not
literally could not-
expecting that.
I could not wait for it to end. It was annoying me.
The way you spoke of that film at first,
That is
just
extremely
did not
out of
set
the
up
blue.
for a 4.
I know, I was doing it on purpose.
Jesus, that's low, boy. That is.
It's low.
Let's just pause there for 1 second while I quickly consult the scores, the Filmbuster scores, to see if that is the lowest you've given anything. You certainly haven't given anything this year.
American Psycho 2 is lower than that.
You spoke positively of it. It's
Oh,
weird
yeah.
because like you can build up that positive like sound about it and make it sound like you enjoyed it, and then smack it out with a vor.
I know, I did it on purpose, mate. I'm an actor.
The only 2 films that we've covered that you believe are worse than this are American Psycho 2 and The Jesus Rolls.
Oh,
Tomb Raider you gave a 4.
oh, what about
Yeah.
the Meg?
No, he gave the
I
Meg
gave
a
Meg
6.
higher.
I mean, okay, Adam.
Okay. So again, I knew nothing about this film. it's pretty mental. Let's just say that it's not metal; it's mental, isn't it? Like,
well, he's very good.
But yeah, it's very full on. I very much enjoyed. It's not normally the type of film I'd ever pick out, which is why I was quite enjoying it. To start off with, we'll get done this. I have not structured this review at all here. Yes, I enjoyed all the practical effects of it. They were extremely well done, and that's what made me question the budget, even like before you just said, because like they were well done to an extent where you'd see that you'd let them pass off in a high budget film. I started off very intrigued by this film. It had me gripped, but a bit like Paul, it's went on too long. For a film that's only, was it 67 minutes long? Something like that. It went on for too long, but I enjoyed chunks of it, but there was chunks in the middle where it just wasn't. It was like, where is this film going? What are we doing here? It almost also felt like the type of film you might walk around an art gallery and you walk into those little rooms that they have and they're playing a bit of footage, and it could quite easily be on one of them. Maybe take away the sex scenes and all that type of stuff, but just the weird parts of it. But there is very good filmmaking in this film, and I'm not going to be as harsh as Paul, and it's a 7 out of 10 for me. It would have been an 8, maybe a 9 if it was only half an hour long, but it's that extra half an hour I feel like it didn't needed, where it went down to a 7.
8 or a 9? What are you talking about?
It had some good elements, Paul.
It was at a 7. It could have been an 8 or a 9.
Well, I'm saying it would have been an 8, maybe a 9 kind of thing.
No,
it would have gone up, not down.
A 9. If it's at a 7 right now.
It could have been.
So it's a 7 for he.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did not structure that review there. I'm very sorry. I kind of did.
That's fine.
I think I was a bit shot from Paul's 4.
That's your style, Adam. We like it. That's why.
Yeah, but I normally have a bit more structured than that.
Okay, so
here we go.
What do you two think that I give this film? First of all, is what I want to ask.
I think you really like it.
I don't. I think it's on the other end, but I think he's closer to you, Paul.
So I watched it with not knowing anything about it either a couple of months ago. Just saw it on a BFI player, and I'm like, let me check this out, because I feel like I've heard of it, but I don't really know anything about it. And I saw that it was so short, and I'm like, okay, let me check this out. And within minutes, you know exactly how it's going to play out. You know it's going to be an experience more than a film. Mm-hmm. And it feels immediately like David Lynch, Eraserhead particularly, because it's black and white, and then it has these really jarring audio cues over these visuals. It's like, it feels like a Lynch project. And while the film was going on, you're questioning everything all the time. You're thinking, what the fuck am I watching here? What the hell is all of this? What does this mean? Does it mean anything? But I was fucking loving every minute of it, and the end came round so quickly for me that I was like, shit, man, why did you only make this 67 minutes? This could have run. And I guess the lack of a strong or discernible narrative or plot wasn't an issue for me. And the thing that I wanted to talk about today on the basis of this is like really what determines whether a film is a film and a good film. Like for you, no plots are no good, but I think film should and could be more than that. And I think, like, obviously my love of people like David Lynch in particular means that I can let things slide plot wise if you've got some very not artily shot, but like
pretentious.
No, you know what I'm saying, man. You know, like if you create something unique and new and visceral, just something that is not like well directed, but well created. Yeah, and if it is an art installation, so fucking be it. If it works like an art installation for an hour, then that's what it kind of
felt like for me. It could have easily have been that.
Yeah, I can get that. Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, it was so wacky. There was so much frantic, manic energy on it, with the sound design, like with that metal rod grating through his teeth early on. Yuck. Like that is like, oh my god, I can hear it and see it and feel it now. It's like there's a visceral reaction to it, and the fact that it was so low budget, you could feel it because it was in black and white, because it was on 16mm film, because it had that industrial soundtrack and these frantic visuals and everything being so homemade to have the balls to create several Iron men and an iron world essentially at times, and an
It
iron
is a
cat.
really, really well made costume.
It's incredibly well done. I've never seen anything like it, and not since have I seen something that's done as well as that. And the first time I watched it, it was a hard 9.
Wow.
And this second time that I watched it, I'm right on the border. If I'm being honest, if I'm being brutally honest, I think it's like, it kills me to say it, but I think it's an 8. But that first viewing, because it shocked me not shocked me like, oh my god, this is graphic, but shocked me that there was something so great, so unique like that out there. I feel bad giving it an 8, because on second viewing I know what's coming, so it's less of that. But how experimental it is, how creative it is, and how there is a message in there which we can talk about. I think it's great. It shows balls, it shows real guts, and I think nowadays, if you were to try and make a film like this, you'd be doing it intentionally to look like this. You'd be going out of your way to make it look amateur and be budget, right? Whereas at that time, he made that because he wanted to fucking make that, and that just isn't happening now. Regardless of the independent films that get made, no one is making films like that now. And I think that's a sadness, because we're not evolving, we're not pushing things forward in that way. Anyway, it's an 8.
Way.
That's fair. I know what you mean about, like, it's almost like an assault on the senses, and as you say, like, if you walk into an art gallery, I could just imagine it being there. It doesn't matter whether you watch from the beginning or you sit through the whole thing. It's just like you're experiencing it from any point, and it'd be like, wow.
You just walk into one of those little rooms where they have the
crazy.
benches and everything, and there's just a film playing. And you're like,
Exactly.
you sit there for 5 minutes and you watch it, and you're like, oh, okay.
If I ran a bar and I had a film-related bar, I would always play films on silent on a screen. And this is a perfect example of one that could do.
Yeah.
Even without, it works
when
with
you get
sound,
the weird
of course.
sex scenes and stuff out of it and all that.
It would have to be visually stunning kind of thing.
Yeah.
You can leave the sex scenes, it's in a bar.
I mean,
It's in
in
a
the
bar,
bar,
yeah.
talk about
Only-
the art gallery. Maybe even in the art gallery, but...
Yeah, in the art gallery, you can definitely leave it.
It's an 18 rated art gallery. It's an art gallery in Amsterdam. So before we talk broadly, right, here's my broad understanding, and you tell me if you guys disagree.
Okay.
Not broad understanding, the plot, as I see it. So at the beginning, we're introduced to, and this, for anyone who is deciding to just listen to the podcast without seeing the film, you're really missing a treat, but this is basically what happens. We meet a character that later becomes known as the metal fetishist, and early on he cuts his upper leg open and he sticks this metal rod into his leg, and then there's loads of maggots that fester over the wound. He rushes out of the shack that he was in and he collides with a car knocks him down. Then we have this jazzy soundtrack cut to a guy shaving, going to work on a station platform, sits next to a woman who's sort of a bit repulsed by him because he seems a bit ill. He's got this metal thing coming out of his cheek, and then she sees this metal thing on the floor, and then he looks at her, and then she's got metal attached to her and her hand's metallic, and then she comes stalking him for about 10-15 minutes through some very bizarre visuals. This guy's known as the Salary Man, by the way. He comes later known as the Salary Man. Not long after that, he has a dream that his girlfriend is raping him with this really long tail-like metallic penis, and then he has a weird dinner with her, and then they actually have sex, and then his willy turns into this massive drill piece, which he uses to drill through the table and the door, and she knocks him out, but then she thinks she killed him, so she sits on him on his drill piece and kills herself, and then
he comes back alive.
Then he comes back alive, and we keep seeing this metal fetishist who almost exists like in the metal realm alongside the Salary Man, as he's increasingly getting more metal and more metal and more metal, and then the metal fetishist manifests himself into the real world and comes stalking the Salary Man, and they have this face-off confrontation where they enter this weird like metal bubble world, and they merge, their two metals merge through like rust and shit, I suppose. and then in the end, they're like this big fucking metal phallic tank. And one of them says, "Oh, it feels so good," and the other one says, "What does he say, Paul?"
Let's turn the world to rust.
It's
together we can
turn this world to rust.
And then it says game over, and we're done. Am I right? That's what happened.
Plot description.
Yeah.
I just wanted to set it out there because then we don't need to work through the plot. Everyone knows now what happens.
Well, that's a plot description. You know, when you do it, say I do the plot descriptions, I do it in a lot of detail, and you can immediately know what I say. I like. You think about the film by the amount of detail I give in the plot.
Yes,
I feel like that was one of those there. You can tell by that plot that you like the film.
Could I give you my run through of the plot?
Go on.
I was really enjoying writing notes for this film.
Come on.
So here it goes. It's like little sentences of what's happened as I go along. Okay. Industrial soundtrack. Junk collector. He likes athletes. Gruesome leg stab. Teeth grind bar. Yucky gross maggots. The jazzy music on the bonnet of a car.
Yeah, the jazzy music.
Rocking out in a factory. Bolt coming out his face. Mahi mahi. Mush mush.
Mush mush. Yeah.
Lady reaching in train station with pencil. It's part of her arm. He runs. Stabs her in neck. Shoves hand in his mouth. There is a man inside the machine. Strikes her. She falls. He is in a corridor having a fit. His arm looks like a piece of shit. And his ankles. He is skating along. Some woman is dancing with a vacuum cleaner penis. It is
vacuum cleaner, yeah.
It is like molesting him.
Yeah.
It's a dream. His cheek is fucked. They are having sex. It's gross. He gets freaked out. Feeds her, and then there is horrible sounds. His penis is now a drill. She doesn't seem to mind, though. She's not scared. His hand is fucked. She still kind of digs it. His face is now fucked. Okay, now she's scared. That drill is really spinning now. He's excited. He's literally trying to drill her. Yucky groin stab. He is turning into a steam engine. He decided to stick a fork in his face. That drill is dangerously close now.
God, you took some detailed notes, man.
Did you ever watch any of the film?
I did. She got him in the neck. She likes it for some reason, is licking his face. She well and truly got drilled. He has a nice bath. The man is leaving his junk pile and gets electrocuted. There is a metal in his brain. He is a big junky man now. This is some Power Ranger monster shit. They are absorbing any metal as well as animals. His wife is awake. She is a gross garbage monster that turns into the other man. Look at my junky world. He is in a plastic bag with worms. Then they just slide around the city. Now they are in a penis car.
Yeah, it's a penis tank, isn't it?
And that's my notes.
That's very detailed, very, very good.
If still wants to watch this film, go watch it now. If them two haven't sold it for you to watch it in the way they've just described it, and you still don't want to watch it, it's on YouTube. You can watch it very easily. Just go and watch it, and then come back. We'll talk about the rest of this film.
Now, look, with something that sounds as madness as that, right? How can you give that such a low score, man?
Mate, I was just like, this is just. It's not my kind of thing.
This is the thing.
I couldn't enjoy it.
I got to the point where I was kind of happy it ended, but I appreciated enough of it, and there was enough good elements and good moments, and especially in the beginning, like the first half hour maybe was really strong, and there was enough in that part of the film there for me to. If I watched the second half of the film, I might have kind of given you like a 5, but there was so much goodness in the beginning of the film that I felt I couldn't go below a 7. If you had asked me if I had watched this film today and then done this podcast straight away, my initial score was an 8. I said it to Dan, who watched it before. He said, "What do you think of it?" I was like, talking about it, and I was like, "I'll give it an 8 out of 10." He goes, "Oh, that's quite high." And I was like, "Yeah, but over time, I feel like maybe balance it out. I feel like it was that assault on the senses bit that you're going on about, and I was blown away by that aspect of it, and that's what heightened it. But when you kind of take a step back and that bit's kind of faded down, it's a 7."
For me, I don't really enjoy films that are just like randomness thrown at the screen or not following like an actual plot, right? Talking about it as an art piece as well. I could say the same about like Anima, like Paul Thomas Anderson's Anima.
Yeah.
That is like, it's not necessarily following a plot. It's just like visuals. But I absolutely love that so much, right?
But would you have loved that if that was 70 minutes like that?
Well, who knows? It wasn't. But I mean, I still enjoyed it, but from as soon as I started watching it, I wasn't enjoying it.
Oh, what about like Captain Alex, for example? That's a film that doesn't really have a plot.
I enjoyed that.
It's got a basic plot,
Captain
a very
Alex
simple plot.
Is just silly.
But again, it's a silly in a different aspect to this, though. It's that full-on thrown into a film. You don't know what the fuck's going on. People who are generally just love film making a film. You don't really care what comes out of it.
Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a good film if someone's made a film because they love film.
Yeah, no, it's in that cinema. Doesn't really have a plot, but that's kind of what this felt for me, like that kind of genre of just. And the same if it was.
There is a plot, though. This is the thing. There is a plot. We just
there is a plot, but it's not. It kind of dwindles a bit for me towards the end. After the sex scene with the drill and all of that, it's kind of when the film kind of tailed off for me, and I was a bit like, okay, they're not adding enough to the film. The film isn't developing enough to keep me now engaged.
See, for me, because you did not see the man's face at the beginning, the metal fetishist.
Yeah.
I thought he was the same guy as the guy who was turned into the metal man.
See, I immediately knew he was. I wasn't the other way. I was the other way around.
It was very disorientating.
This is a guy who's in control, who is in, like, a metal overlord, is what I kind of saw him as.
But so basically, what happened was the guy at the beginning is the metal fetishist. The salary man, and his wife/girlfriend are driving the car that crashes into him.
Yeah.
And then that jazzy kind of soundtrack that takes place is, I'm guessing, because it sounds so seedy and sexualized, that it's almost like that is the merging of the metal fetishist with machinery or metal in the ultimate way, because of that collision, right? It's almost like a sexual combination, and then he becomes this ethereal metal man presence, right? So with the salary man, then for whatever reason, I know it's batshit, but takes the body somewhere, dumps it, and then has sex with his wife. The metal fetishist decides to get his revenge on him, and it's like, you left me for fucking dead, I'm going to bring you into this world with me.
Yeah.
But also, regardless, right? Yes. So the plot is bizarre and strange, and it's more about the experience, and you either like the experience or you don't. So there's one thing or the other.
The plot isn't
like
a strong plot. Like, it's a simple.
No, but it's
based
not. But you're not saying. But nobody would be going, okay, but that's plot's not strong. Make it a stronger plot, because then it wouldn't be that
you don't
film.
need it to be. This is the whole point of this film, is what I'm trying to say to Paul. It doesn't need to be a strong plot. It doesn't need to have that, because it's got so much else going on that it almost, the rest of the film would actually get lost if you made it any more.
You're talking about the form. You're talking about the form of filmmaking here, right? And that's what it is. It is like, it's not. Put aside whether or not you want to enjoy a story, it's about, do you want to enjoy a film? And in terms of filmmaking, it was done in a very original, unique way with very limited resources, and still managed to look a million times more enticing than anything that could be computer animated, or anything that is like pored over for years and years in script rooms and writers' rooms and with producers' interference to make a so-called great film. So many mass-produced films offer so little compared to this. Like, I take much more from this film because of what it means from both a filmmaking perspective, but also from what it's kind of saying underneath the surface, than I would from many.
You
of
also
the,
remember
of the
this film
mainstream
for longer.
that go out.
It does. It like, even without you saying he, like David Cronenberg, made these films. You could tell that he's obviously watched those type of films, like your things, like those very old school practical effects horror films.
It's the effects that wins you over.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the filmmaking that wins you over. It's the combination of it. The way that he filmed that, like how frantic. It's the perfect storm of things. It's the visuals. It's all of the physical effects mixed with the soundtrack, mixed with 16mm black and white film, mixed with frantic editing. All of that combined to make a perfect storm.
All of this, right, is the reason it gets a 4, and that's, otherwise it will get lower. I appreciate it for all those reasons, but I did not enjoy watching it at all. It was not the kind of film where I got any enjoyment out of. I couldn't understand what was going on. It felt like it was just being over the top and over sexualized just for the hell of it.
See, for me,
just to make it look
understanding
crazy.
what is going on is second in this film to actually just watching the film. That is what I'm saying. So
you're supposed to override your enjoyment just for what you're looking at. It's like, oh, I don't have to enjoy this film to love it. That doesn't make sense.
No, because that's second to what you're actually watching. It's like what Ben said, and it's like what we said about going into the art gallery. You could sit down for watch 10 minutes for this film and get enough out of it. Have it in the background in your pub playing with no sound on. Like, you don't need to know. There's enough going on. So you didn't enjoy this film? Are you saying you didn't enjoy this film? I'm not saying I didn't enjoy this film. I'm just saying that.
So that's what I'm saying. So you did enjoy this film.
Yeah.
So you saying you don't have to enjoy this film? That you can't say that about this film because you did enjoy it. I did not enjoy this film. I thought it was bullshit. Right. So
look at this guy.
Yeah, I'm saying it. I didn't enjoy it. So what are you talking about? You don't have to enjoy this film to like the film.
When I was watching this film, the plot is there, and it's only in the second half where you feel like you need to be engaged enough to make that film last up. Because like you said, you wanted to end. Maybe that's where that whole point comes in. But for me, watching this film, you almost kind of forget that there is a plot in some points. Like the whole sex scene in the middle, for example, where she whips out the Hoover dick and all of that shit. Like, you don't need to know what's actually going on in that film. That's just weird, kind of wonderful.
I don't think it's smart whatsoever.
It's like watching Velocipasta, man. It's that kind of...
Yeah, but I can enjoy that because it's done in a comical way, where this is just over the top and
it's almost
a
dark humour. This is almost black humour, black comedy.
Nah. I didn't find it funny
You
at all.
Giggle when she's whipping out the Hoover dick.
It's not. I mean, like, wouldn't say that it's necessarily funny, but because I mean, it's more grown-up thing. Like Velocipasta it has its worth, but it's made to be silly, so you just go with it. It's silly. You enjoy it because it's silly. But this is like quite dark, man. It's a whole fucking dark experience.
I agree. It is a dark experience.
You know, like it's about what you look for in a film, isn't it? And at the end of the day, if you have infamously said with me when we talk about, because I go through this 1001 films to see before you die, and I'm watching all these old films, and in the past you've said to me that you don't like, well, just because it's considered good filmmaking or it did this for cinema doesn't mean I should enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And I agree with that. I agree with that. Just because it's good for cinema doesn't automatically make it good, but there's a reason that it was considered good for cinema, whether this was or whatever, and it's because it was doing something new. And I think whatever it did, it wasn't enough to just do something new. You have to do it well, and for me, I thought it did it well because it combined all of these things, and undoubtedly will have inspired some of the stuff that we have subsequently enjoyed since that film was made. That wouldn't have been made without Tetsuo the Iron Man.
I totally agree. I agree. It is, for what they've done, is absolutely amazing, right? For the effects, for the obviously low budget, just for being like, I want to make a film, let me do this. It's amazing. Didn't fucking enjoy it though.
Well, you didn't. So would you say you didn't enjoy it because you didn't understand what was going on as it was taking place?
I just didn't like the erratic randomness of it all, and probably because it didn't have like a discernible plot.
All right, so did either of you boys afterwards try and Google to work out what the fuck? I know you said you went on IMDb, but did you Google to try and say, okay, what's it about? What's it saying?
No, I didn't really. Not what it's trying to say. No.
Okay, I've done that since, but I'm going to tell you what I thought before I did that at the time.
I feel like there is some type of like taking a look at like the one step beyond in society, kind of taking over bodies with other stuff, kind of metaphors going on, because there's a reason why I feel like he picked a normal your salary man as well. I feel like there's that aspect to
so
it
the whole my take on it at the time is that it was focusing on that salary man, not the metal fetishist guy, because I didn't know why he was doing what he was doing, but the salary man, it was like his work is taken over him, because Tokyo at that fucking time, very industrial, like vastly expanding economy, the cities, all these big buildings and everything, and going into that working life, which is clearly a 9-to-5 desk job that is all consuming, And for whatever reason, the metal represents the consuming nature of the job, to the point where everywhere he goes, it's with him. He carries it. It's that baggage of someone that just fucking hates their job, and everywhere they go, the shadow of their job is hovering over them. They're consumed by it. So that's why at the train station, whether he's going to work or coming back, he feels that woman looking at him, because it's like, fuck, I am this person. When he goes home to his girlfriend or his wife, whoever that's supposed to be, like, even the job has overridden his ability to fuck, you know. He can't even enjoy sex anymore because he's so beaten down by this fucking job that he's got, to the point where at the end it just consumes him entirely, and then the only way to rebel against it is just to go out there and fucking make the whole world like that. It's like the birth of a new fucking way of life, which it was. The technological boom at that point was just about to happen, early 90s, and it's exploded across the fucking world since then.
See, I thought it was along those lines, but yeah.
It's very actually, it's quite prevalent, our Patreon episode.
I know.
To this as well, so it's kind of worked out.
It fits.
Yeah.
But that's what I thought at the time, and then since then I've seen. So there are things like that. So apparently, Tsukamoto himself, he was a salary man, and then he left that job. So he sees himself in that role. He was a salary man. So he's like rebelling against that, because apparently salary men in Japan were like, you commit to a company and then you are with that company for life, and it is almost like a marriage. You do anything for that company.
You can't leave.
Is your life your priority? No, you're wedded to it. You are part of that company.
Why does that make sense?
Because I guess it's the stability, the contract for life. You're never going to have to worry about being paid as long as you rock up here. But anyway, it's presented as a bad thing, right? And then he rebelled against that, and his dad was always telling him that he was shit and that he was never good enough. So even while he was making this film, he was like questioning himself, and he like threatened to burn all of the film that he'd shot on so far because he didn't think it was good enough. But then he rebelled against that, because he used to do that with his art projects.
To Paul, then, isn't it?
I know, Paul would have been his dad.
Listen, I'm enjoying his story more than the actual film. I can appreciate someone's drive to make a film and get something made and do what you love and make your passion, but
as long as it's not boring at the end.
People love this film. I know people love this film, but it just wasn't for me at all.
That's fine. I wondered, because it would have gone one or two ways with you, but you know, it has all that practical stuff that you like.
I'm surprised you hated it so much.
Yeah, I'm surprised you hated it so much. Yeah, even though it is like very abstract.
The thing is, I was watching it and I was like, I'm not enjoying this. And so I was like, okay, this is definitely like a 5 or something. But as soon as it pushes me, like to get past that 5, it needs to annoy me in some way. And the annoyance was I just couldn't wait for it to end. I was like, this just needs to end now. I don't know how it can be an hour long and still I just want it to end.
I mean, I'm stunned. Like I was gripped by it. Like everything was like, it's visually, I can't think of something that visually looks like that. I'm even comparing it to David Lynch stuff. Like I can't, like David Lynch does elements of what Tetsuo did, but in a very slow and ponderous way. And that kind of work. When you're in the mood, it works. So that's not a criticism. But this was so frantic and fast all the time, you don't even get a chance to breathe.
I think the difference between this and a Lynch film is, and like Antichrist, I feel like you can read so much into it, right? Where this is just like, it is what it is, and it's like a big general idea of what the film is trying to say, rather than break it down piece by piece. This is what this means, this is what that means. I don't see it at all.
But there is an analogy for that way of life, right? And the metal, that being that industrial age coming in and consuming man, like the idea of man being,
that's what I mean. It's like a general idea, the film. It's not breaking down to little elements of, this is exactly what this means, this is exactly what this means. Like the amount of time we could spend breaking down every scene of a David Lynch film, where this is just like a general idea.
What do you think of David Cronenberg then? Because he deals with these sorts of themes in a very minimal way. Like, well, actually, interesting, I've said that. The big inspiration on this that you really dislike as well is Videodrome.
Videodrome. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I don't like it.
Interesting.
See, I've never seen Eraserhead, and I've never seen
The Videodrome. It's got. I like the idea, but then it just goes too far with it.
But that's I like him going far with it.
I didn't like it. Like when he's got the gun on his hand and stuff. That I don't like it.
Yeah, no, perfect. The gun on his hand and the video cassette thing in his belly, man.
I don't remember.
It becomes one with the flesh. It's about the merging. I think it's just the themes and the topics. Maybe you are uncomfortable with the metal and flesh idea.
I did have to stop this film within about when he started the very beginning of the film when he was putting that bolt into his leg.
Yeah,
I stopped the film and I was like, that looks way too realistic for him not to actually do it. And I'm also thinking the budget they got for this film, they can't. That's going to have to be that's a very, very, very good prop leg for them.
It was
for them to be able to do that. But it
also
looks
so
good
much
when they open the leg up and everything like that. It's like.
But you know why it worked?
Black and
a
white.
lot of that stuff worked is because the black and white effect, so you don't see the detail, and also the sound, because the sound was so hyper. It was like ASMR, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Loads of it. It makes the wound seem more visceral than it really was. Like imagine a mic real up close to a fucking peach or something, and you tearing the flesh of the peach with your hand, and putting that over that visual. Suddenly, it makes that feel so much more like real.
Mm.
Have you watched any of his other films, or you like since watching this?
No, there's two more after this. So there's a sequel to this called Tetsuo 2 Body Hammer, which I want to watch, and then the third one is called Tetsuo 3 Bullet Man. But apparently the sequel is really well regarded. I don't know so much about the third one.
Oh, really? It looked like it was quite badly rated when I was looking at it.
Oh, well, I don't know, maybe, but I don't know. It must be their road trip as a big metal tank penis thing and then dominating the world. So here's the thing. Do you think then that them, I know you didn't really like the film, so it may be hard to discuss it, but them what is it saying about technology and metal and stuff if after it's consumed them both so much, one person willingly wants it to consume him, the other person didn't want it to consume him, they become one at the end. What does it mean that they both feel good and they want to turn the world to rust? What does that mean?
It's being assimilated by the world around you. It's like becoming comfortable with how the world's turning and then trying to take over the world with it. It's just like it's just like the social media age, really. Like we talk about in our Patreon episode. I feel like it consumes you, and then that's all you care about. That's all you want to know about.
You're beaten down by it. You're beaten down by it, isn't it?
Mm.
You know it's coming. It's an inevitable wave. And for then it was like that technology. But yeah, now it's the social media thing. Like I don't want Facebook. I'm not going to sign up to Facebook. I'm not going to sign up to Twitter. I'm not going to sign up to Instagram. And then time goes on and everyone's on it. And now you need to log in to websites using Facebook. So you've almost got to take it on to move forward. It's just the next stage of evolution, baby. That's kind of what the Iron Man was, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's showing you it in this really graphic and insane way. It's just visually represented in a really unique and cool way. Yeah. I just liked that. So what about the homosexuality throughout?
Homosexuality?
Yes, you didn't think that?
I didn't notice it, no.
You didn't think that at the end when they come together and then they're merged into one like that?
I didn't really think that, no. I
feel like the fact that the fetishist watched that salaryman having sex with the woman was kind of like this kick-off event for him. And the fetishist seems so hell-bent on turning him to metal because he wants to become one with him. He has this weird affection for him, in a way. He has this the way he speaks, his voice sounds a little bit, I don't want to say seductive, but kind of sexy, the way he talks to him. And this, same as that jazzy music up front when he's talking to him, there's this sultry music that's playing. When they combine at the end, before they combine, they're like fucking, their shirts are off and you see their flesh. And they're like floating, making contact.
I mean, it's certainly based something in sex because there's so much like phallic objects and sex in it, so it must be something based in that as well.
It's very Freudian. It's very, very Freudian. But the sex is just linked with metal and violence. Sex and violence is combined in this, and I don't know. I think I read something about at the time there being thoughts that it was the entire film was an analogy for the AIDS epidemic.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the metal actually being AIDS, representing AIDS. But I don't know. I haven't gone down that rabbit hole, but could be. I just like the idea that the metal represents this modern life, and it's like literally twisting us as humans into something we aren't. Modern life is making us what we're not. We know we're not supposed to be bent over computers and screens. That's not what we were meant for. But that's what we've developed, and now that's what we are. It's fucking contorting us.
Yeah, you just got to go with it.
Well, do you? Should you?
You don't have to, but the way the world changes, you almost have to go with it.
Yes, assimilate or die, just like lobster.
It's like the way that cash is going now. Everything's contactless. What if people don't have contactless shit?
That's right. And this crisis has made fucking cash like pointless now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And if you wanted to look into conspiracy theories, you would say they've been wanting this for a very, very long time for us to go cashless.
Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, I don't mind because carrying cash around's annoying.
I don't mind, but sometimes it's nice to have cash.
It's the convenience of them controlling your money.
They don't want people to get cash in hand, so they have to pay all their taxes.
We actually have more cash. We actually have more money if we pay everything by card. Because how many times you got 5p's and 1p's that just sit somewhere and then end up getting lost and shit?
Yeah, it's true.
It's probably not much, but you probably lose about 40 quid a year in loose change.
Mm. That's what I mean. Like, but with doing this kind of stuff, you have to go with the flow of
yeah
change.
You boys got nothing else to say about this then?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yep. Let's go to the listeners. All I will say is that I enjoy film. I think film is a broad spectrum, increasingly so. We have conversations internally about what should and shouldn't be added onto our top 10 of the year list. Oh, this is a documentary. Oh, that was a recording of a live gig. That was a recording of a live show. That's not a documentary, it's just someone talking to camera. All of these things exist as film and cinema in one ways, and this was cinema presented in a very unique and cool way. Like, I would be more than happy if the Prince Charles Cinema over here in London put this on, for example. I would love to go and watch this on a big screen.
And with people reacting to it.
Well, I don't want that. I would much rather there were no
Silence.
people. Yes, but I would want to see it on that big screen and get that visceral reaction.
Be an experience. Yeah,
it's very cool.
I'll give it that. It's one hell of an experience. But I just wanted to get out as quick as I could. That was the thing.
Very peculiar kid. All right, so we got some reviews from our people on Twitter that we put it out to. So the first person we've got is Filmageddon, who said, absolutely wicked. Rented it from London Met Library, knowing nothing about it. Blew my mind. Blew my wine out of my hand. Some shots are so visceral, it makes uncomfortable viewing. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Next we have Home Video Hustle. They say, the filmmaking here is insane. Many times while watching the movie, I'd yell out loud, how was he filming that? I had the stupidest grin on my face, just soaking in all the creativity on the screen. The only thing I've seen that looks anything at all like this movie is probably David Lynch's Eraserhead. You said it, Ben. I love that weird shit, so I ate it up. This is definitely up there as one of my favourite weird artsy type films. I can't wait to see the sequels now.
Yes, man. And shout out to Home Video Hustle, because they are a very, very good podcast. You should check them out. Some US guys. They are very fun.
Promo.
Next up, we have our patron here, Jamie Russell. He said, well, that was an experience. Is meta porn actually a thing? As body horror goes, this was like Cronenberg on crack, as we've said quite a few times on here.
Yes, indeed.
Clearly lots of symbolic significance, and look forward to what you guys make of it. Good luck with the plot summary, Adam. 6 out of 10 he gave it.
He got it all wrong, the plot summary.
Yeah, well, I did.
I
mean, I don't know where to start. I mean, Jamie, you can send me in one next week if you want, or maybe send me in for this film.
Do you understand the plot now?
Yeah, but I gave a very brief overview. It's how you would read it.
You said something about the woman or something.
Yeah, the woman chased him down, and then he killed her, and then the man turned him into the metal man, which is technically correct. It's just a very small chunk of the film.
I would like, Jamie, giving that a 6 out of 10. My goodness.
He speaks very highly of it, a bit like Paul did.
I know, but 6 out of 10. Tell your film students you gave that 6 out of 10, and they probably rake you over the coals. You should be showing them that and saying, "This is art. This is cinema, kids. Go and watch this." And you should be saying it with a crack pipe in your mouth as well. Enjoy this. No, it's
With
all
a
good,
crack
6 out of 10.
pipe.
I don't know where I was going with that analogy.
Did you say crack pipe?
Yes, I did, yeah. Luke Human says, an overt comment on the technological era and disassociation from nature. This also shows elements of fetishism and body horror that mirror the potential terror of puberty and identity. A cinematic assault of a Kafka-esque nightmare. Completely effective, but not completely enjoyable. What a fucking review.
It is a very, very detailed review.
Very
Kafka
good review.
got brought up last episode, and now
did.
Luke's mentioning Kafka this episode.
Full circle.
I hope that we'll be talking about Kafka in the next episode.
He also gave it a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10, yes.
I'm quite enjoying the people giving their scores at the end of it. I do quite...
Yeah.
Because like the Jamie one, I would have thought he would have thought a bit higher, but then he gives
And bless
6
them,
out
they're
of 10
doing it
because
out of 10 as well.
I stole their ratings off of Letterboxd. They had no choice.
Oh, very good.
Oh, did they? Oh, okay. I'm sorry then.
Oh, I've just seen Julio's.
Oh,
come on,
boy.
man.
It's perfect way to end it, really, isn't
Did
it?
he give it? Did he leave this on there, or did you leave this on there to back yourself up, Paul?
Listen,
Is this why
he
you've
was the
done it the
last
whole
person
time?
to review it. It just happened. It's fate. Fate's colliding. Julio from the Contrarians says, David Cronin who? Way too long, though. 4 out of 10. My man.
What does he mean, though? Way too long, though. Though implies
He enjoyed
that there was a positive before
But
that.
then he
yeah.
didn't
Well,
like
he
it.
must have enjoyed it to some extent.
He enjoyed it more than you, so he's better
listen,
man than you.
No, he appreciates the craft, but not the film.
Yeah.
Just like me. I'm sure Julio would back me up.
Yeah, no, that's fine. You both can appreciate the craft. That's okay.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Went over your head is all. That's okay.
Yeah, it went straight over my head.
Straight over your head because you weren't paying attention. So
You can keep saying it, I won't bite.
The listeners have spoken, and some of them were right and some of them were wrong. But you'll have to work out yourself which you're right and which
Who
you're
was
wrong.
it?
Yes. Now then. So this is the point where we take a break and work out our average score. So just to recap, Paul, you gave that a 4.
Yep.
Adam, you gave it a
7.
And I gave it an 8. So we are on 19 divided by 3, please. 6.3. It is
6.3.
So check it out. There's 3 other films that have got 6.3, listeners. We got Terminator Dark Fate up the top. We got Bright in the middle. And we got The House That Jack Built below. We're going to take a time out and work out where this places. All right, dear listeners, check it out. All those films I told you before, it goes above all of them. But, weirdly, it sits below Frozen 2. Now, here's the thing. Frozen 2 has a unique score because it's 6.5 because only me and Paul watched that. So Adam needs to watch that film and then his rating will determine whether or not Tetsuo the Iron Man actually goes above or below it.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, it ends up below Martyrs. So there you go. I'm not very happy with that, I must admit, boys, because that is very close to our bottom 10 of all time.
I'm not happy with it either. It should be lower.
You're mad, mate. When you collectively look at the films,
I know.
I tell you what, you
I'm
look at the
fine.
films we've covered on this podcast, and we've covered some real generic crap, some real rubbish. Things
I know.
like
Frozen 2.
Solo and Skywalker
At least
and
they had a
stuff like
good
that.
plot, though.
You think having a good plot but the same story you've seen time and time again is better than 60 minutes of quite groundbreaking cinema.
Listen, I couldn't wait for it to end.
Peculiar boy, you've gone soft in your old age, boy. I needed to talk to Paul for 5 years ago. He would have given this a high score.
Never.
He's gone soft.
Listen, if I was soft, I'd just give everything a high score.
He's gone real soft.
I think you're too easy with your scoring. If you do this, look, do this.
Yeah. So Paul, just because he wanted to be contrarian, has just updated the spreadsheet that we have. So he's given films the lowest this year. That means nothing to me.
Well, you're the one who brought it up, mate.
You watch films to enjoy them.
Exactly. Didn't enjoy this, did I?
Yeah, he didn't enjoy it, but we also are here to discuss films and discuss
Wait
why
a
we
minute. Can I
didn't
just
enjoy
bring
them.
this up? Can I just bring this up, right? Just for 1 second. let me just caption what Adam just said. Right, you watch films to enjoy them. Adam was literally saying in the review, you don't need to enjoy films to like them.
I'm saying you don't need the plot to enjoy it. Whatever.
No, Adam, you've ruined yourself, mate. You put yourself in a hole, and now you're
You're
burying
being very
yourself.
antsy today, Paul.
He's very angry
Even before
today.
we got on here, Ben did a little warm-up quiz, and he was just being antsy in that.
That's true about Alien Ant Farm.
Why do you love the word antsy?
I don't know.
Because we were talking about Alien Ant Farm.
Yeah.
Paul is holding a grudge from a pre-podcast record quiz that we did where
We're just doing a
Adam
little
said you
warm-up,
shouldn't
getting
call
us-
it AAF, you should call it Alien Ant Farm.
No, he
But
called
the
it
truth is you
AFI.
should call it
to start off with.
AAF.
He was trying to be so suave and cool, he even got it wrong.
Considering that I just said AAF and then Adam was the one who had a real turn against it. I don't know why.
Yeah, but you started
He had a grudge against. I think he's a hardcore AAF fan, and he just wanted to prove.
dear.
Can
he
you
was
name me
best,
another
but, you know,
Alien Ant Farm song apart from Spoof Criminal?
Yeah, movies.
Oh yeah, true.
End of that one. Thank you.
Shinya Tsukamoto, I'm sorry that our conversation about your masterpiece has descended into this.
Alien Ant Farm.
I'm tagging in Shinya. Anyway, let's swiftly move on to the next section. Before we announce what we're covering next week, let's hear what our beloved patrons have been watching recently.
Yes.
I see they got some good recommendations. Now listen, if you ain't a patron, listen to what our blessed patrons are saying you should be watching.
If you've
between
been
now
watching
and-
something during this week and you're thinking, I need to tell everybody about this, and you don't know how to get it out, you could just pay us £1 or £2 and we'll put you in this
to
section
amplify your voice. Yeah.
and we'll say it for you.
We'll be your mouthpiece.
Yeah.
You could, and you could start like Nerd Revert has, and he is updating us to say, after finishing my MCU watch through, I don't know why he subjected himself to that, but more power to you. I watched Gattaca, dipped my toes into the Fast and Furious franchise by watching the first two, then been on an Anton Yelchin kick with Charlie Bartlett, 5 to 7, and Green Room. Now Gattaca's very good. Have you seen that?
I need to watch
It's on
Gattaca.
my list to watch.
It's a good sci-fi. Fast and Furious, I haven't watched any of them.
And beautiful Anton Yelchin.
Bunch of Anton Yelchin films. I haven't seen any of those Anton Yelchins.
You need to watch the documentary of I Am Still.
Yeah. I would. He seems like a nice gentleman. Nice kid.
Yeah. Poor guy.
Damn shame. Green Room. Is that
That's
I
the one
think-
with
Patrick Stewart?
Yeah, and he's
Yes.
a Nazi.
That's right. That's right. Good call, and well done on completing your MCU rewatch. I can't think of anything worse, but well done on doing
Well, you
it.
could watch Sharknadoes.
I would be more than happy to continue to watch the Sharknadoes over more Marvels.
Silly. Next, we have Jamie Russell. And he says, I would recommend both Spontaneous and Bad Education. Spontaneous was actually recommended to me by one of my film students, so I felt a need to check it out for that specific reason. I've actually really enjoyed it. It's quirky without being really annoying and had lots of film references, which I enjoyed. Tonally, it's a bit unsure of itself, but I would like to see what others think. Bad Education is a great film, anchored by another great performance from Hugh Jackman. I used to think little of him as an actual actor, but the last 3 films I've seen in him, Logan, Prisoners, and now this, have all been really strong performances. Both my recommendations are set in school, so I must be looking forward to returning back to the classroom from next week.
I don't know if that's
He's
sarcasm or
going
not.
back. He's going back.
He's put an exclamation mark at the end of it, so
He's shouting.
I think if you were lecturing on film, actually, you would look. I don't know. Maybe I'm putting words in his mouth, but I think you would look forward to going back in the classroom. Different vibe. Yes.
yeah. You go to discuss shit.
You go to discuss stuff. You want to engage with them. It's not just kids who are in a room that they don't want to be in and you don't want to be in. You're there because you're specialising in something, and they're there to hear about something. So on this, have you guys heard about this Spontaneous film?
No.
Yes. Scott watched it the other day, didn't he?
Oh, is this the one
Oh,
that
is
he
this
put
what he
up
was talking about?
with the
Yes.
terrible
So the
poster?
plot says when students in their high school begin inexplicably exploding,
Yes.
seniors Mara and Dylan struggle to survive in a world where each moment may be their last. It's got quite a good
It's got a
average
really bad
score
poster,
as well.
as Adam says.
Yeah, it's got a bad
Photoshop's
poster.
So bad.
Disgraceful.
Yeah, like looking at that poster, I had to I was like, my neck was whipping round, like, surely he's not been watching that. But then you read the plot. And Bad Education I haven't seen, but I agree. Logan and Prisoners, like when he said Hugh Jackman, I immediately thought, yeah, he doesn't act in anything good. But Logan and Prisoners are his only two good films. I
Great
think.
double bill.
Yes. Prisoners is the higher one, but I remember going to the cinema and seeing Logan, having not really seen any of the X-Men films, and thinking, fuck, if they were all like this, I would go and see them, because that was more of a Western.
Yeah, definitely.
Apart from the last 15-20 minutes, that got too fantastical.
Yeah, I'm not as cool on the ending as most people.
Yeah,
It could
the
be
ending
better.
was a little bit...
Or is it Logan?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't really remember it too tough. Okay,
Go on
so
then,
next up
Adam.
we have our friends Katie and OT.
Good luck with that name.
Let's go for this. They said they watched The Drug King. Although Lee Do Sam is at the centre, this film brilliantly weaves everybody into his proximity into a web of destruction. My support through Do Sam's triumphs and failures shifted as the plot developed, but I was anticipating with every scene. I've never heard of this at all. I don't even know who these people are.
I have no idea who these names are she's dropping.
I have this on my watch list, The Drug King. I actually asked, as soon as I saw Kate and Owie were watching it, I just need to know how it was. And I'm interested to watch it. But carry on, Adam.
Yeah, she goes on to say only Song Kang-ho has the natural ability to bring a charm and glimpses of warmth into an otherwise unsavoury character. I don't know. Do you know who he is? Or she
Never
is?
heard of him. Paul surely knows because he loves Korean
I believe
cinema.
the main guy is from Parasite.
Oh, okay.
Very good.
The economics and the impact of drugs is not new, but I appreciated a different telling from this side of the world. The film also gets extra kudos for the memories of his impressive dancing styles and the dynamic fighting scenes.
Yes.
I've got to say that that does not sound like my kind of film at all.
I mean, I might have to check that out at some point, but yeah.
It's on Netflix.
Do you want to check that out? I'm not dissing Katie and OT's summary because it's a very good summary and well worded, but it doesn't sound in any way like an enticing film.
Okay, this is the plot summary. Set in Busan, South Korea during the 1970s, Lee Do-sam builds an empire as a drug smuggler in the Busan underworld, while public prosecutor Kim In-gu attempts to take down Lee Do-sam.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
Also,
It ain't
guys,
my
if you want to
style.
sign up and become a patron and tell us what you want to watch, and then just to have the Ben push it down,
Do you
can
know
also
what?
do that.
Let me tell you something, right? Ever since Breaking Bad came along, there's a spate increasingly now of these drug kingpin stories, whether they're in television shows or in movies and whatnot, and all of them they're just cookie cutter presentations of the drug game. And it worked in the 90s and the noughties when drugs were really starting to flood the streets and there were like real good stories to tell. But now it's almost like we've regressed and it goes to this high level glamorization to an extent of it. I'm not really very interested.
That's fair.
Anyway, and then finally, I sounded very aggressive with that. And I didn't mean to. I feel like I attack Katie Noties, and that is not the case at all. I have strong opinions. And on this particular front, I cared not for that. But speaking about caring not, Julio says, I cared a lot, for I care a lot. Doesn't that sound like a For Your Reference episode title, Devil Face? Nice companion piece to Gone Girl, in the sense that we get to see Rosamund Pike play another psychopath. Also, I have one episode left on season 3 of Star Trek Discovery, and I really hope they don't drop the ball because they're doing so much better than previous seasons. Well, on I Care a Lot, I know Adam's watched it, I've watched it.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we won't say nothing spoilerific.
Well, when
but yeah,
Paul talks about, we'll talk about it at some point.
it was.
I wonder if it might appear in your end of month.
I personally haven't given it a high enough score. I think I gave it a 7.
It depends how well the rest of the month plays out.
Yeah.
I gave it a 7 too. Depends how well the rest of the month plays out. Yeah, I mean it's an interesting film. Well made. Quite.
There's
peculiar.
a dividing moment, isn't there, where it seems to be everyone who's watched it.
Yeah, I mean that you can. There's certain things that I can see, like absolute sexist right wing men hating it. I can equally see them loving it
For some reason,
weirdly,
yeah.
and I can also see. I mean, there's lots of different opinions on this film. Mine is completely savoury. And Star Trek Discovery, we never talk about television shows on here, but why not? I thought that the trailer for Discovery looked good, but I haven't watched any of the other Star Trek, so I wasn't going to start with this one. But I did think it looked good.
There's way too many Star Treks to get involved in for me. Like,
well, you just stick to your Star Wars, okay?
And, yeah, I will.
You stick to the Star Wars.
You can stick to Battlestar.
Galactica.
I will stick to Battlestar Galactica. And Paul, you can stick to Starship Trooper. So say we all.
And speaking of Julio, we have something to say now.
Yeah.
Our beautiful patron, Julio, he is actually picking the film for next episode. And should we tell everyone what it is?
Go on, Adam.
What is it? Shame.
Yes. Yeah. Steve McQueen's Shame.
Yes.
I think this is one of the few McQueen films I haven't watched.
I've intentionally avoided all plot description of it as well since being told about it. I never really knew what it was about before, so...
I know what it's about, but I don't really know what it's about. I know the generic thing of what it's about.
I mean, that's going to be interesting because Steve McQueen's had a big fucking run over here in the last 6 months with his Small Axe films, like all about the race relations in the UK between the 60s and like the 80s.
I mean, he is English, so...
I know. It's going to be interesting to see what this is because I don't think I've ever seen something from him that I didn't like. I think Hunger is the only thing that I wasn't too taken on because that felt a bit indulgent and dragged out.
That's Fassbender as well, isn't it?
That's Fassbender, where he plays the IRA guy, Mickey something. The guy who went on hunger strike.
Oh, yes, that was it. Yeah.
Hence the title of the film.
Yeah, literally. He's the IRA guy who went on hunger strike while in prison for however many days, and then Fassbender really transformed his body. And maybe we'll be discussing if Fassbender is problematic nowadays.
I don't know anything problematic about Michael Fassbender. I'm excited for you to tell me.
I'll go to all my gossip magazines that you know I love to read.
You love it.
Maybe tell us after we've watched the film so we don't change our mind on the film we're watching it.
Quite. But until then, enjoy
Peace
yourselves, look after one another, and don't forget to treat yourself to a chalk ice once in a while.
But eat your greens.
And also treat yourself to a beautiful Patreon episode,
which is coming up right now for all you lucky patrons. You can hear about the world that is just a hop, skip and a jump away.
Tales Busters.